The mornings are usually quiet. You can hear the elegance of gentle waves lapping against the seawall of the coquina-laden fort, often disrupted by the man-made sound of boat engines humming across the flats. There's a sweet, comforting smell of the ocean in the distance, oyster beds ready to reveal themselves as the Matanzas' flowing water retreats. The glimmer of sunlight acts as a reminder of our dance with the ocean, our human story of obedience, defiance, and negotiation with the deep. It's finally time for the land to really wake up. Coffee is being poured, dogs are being walked, and youthful joggers take stride before their classes at Flagler College. Like many cities around the world, this place is old. What makes St. Augustine so very unique? It's in the United States. In fact, it's 211 years older than the founding of the U.S. St. Augustine was established in 1565 by the Spanish and stood as the capital of Florida for over 200 years, protecting its citizens and supplying the colonized areas with goods and services. Today, contemporary life breathes contrast to the iconic architecture, numerous alleys, and narrow cobblestone streets that once were bustling with people and horse-drawn carts. Cars race across the Bridge of Lions, and scooters buzz around with hungry tourists at the helm. The morning brings a familiar hum of refrigeration units on delivery trucks outside the quiet establishments, lining the streets, signaling to the world that goods are ready to be delivered to local restaurants and businesses. During the summer, this is a hotbed for Floridian vacationers taking a quick trip to any one of the miles of picturesque beaches, where in contrast, the winter invites northern snowbirds to retreat from the cold and enjoy the winter months in this chronicled city. Although the area itself is commonly broken up into several specific sections, these being the historic downtown, St. Augustine Beach, and Volano, for our maiden voyage of breaking bread, we visit downtown. Our journey begins at Barley Republic, a cozy gastropub nestled in the heart of the historic district with its warm, inviting atmosphere and a menu brimming with hearty Irish American fare. Barley Republic is the perfect spot to kick off our culinary adventure. So, Rhett, why is it that you really enjoy owning a pub?
You know, it kind of comes back to that word pub, which is short for public house. We're open to the people, and that's the part that matters. That's the part that is the most inspiring about all of this. The great people that come here and spend their time off and their hard-earned money, to the people who come here every day and earn their hard-earned money and earn a living from being here. We would just be four walls and some food without the vibrancy of the guests and the people that come here and they work so hard for us. It's a lot. One of the most enriching aspects of this is the relationships that we've forged, not only with our guests but our coworkers. My best friend I met through owning this place, and he met his wife through owning this place, and they're building a family. We have people who come back here every year on their anniversary because this is where they had their first date, and we're lucky to be part of that. As people are having good times and creating great memories, it helps to ensure that we're going to be here for a long time to continue to be part of that.
So what new culinary trends out there are you seeing that possibly can make it on your menu?
I don't know really anything like that at all that's going on right now. So this is a dead question for me.
It's okay. I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to have a perfect answer for every question.
I heard there's a 6-ounce burger on the market.
There's a 6-ounce burger coming to the town, man.
It's trying to make things as much from scratch as possible. When you're in Florida, everything's growing all the time, and so you have that inspiration. You're fresh fish in the Matanzas or just offshore. Yeah, Mayport shrimp up north, just a little bit north of here. The vegetables and plants that come so great locally. There's a lot of great beef in Florida as well. So being as fresh and from scratch as possible, we try to stay true to that.
Where's your lamb in Florida come from?
Australia. And sometimes they're specials. Sometimes many items have been on for years. We had a Irish egg because we were tired of people asking us for Scotch eggs. They had a 5-year run where it was a hard-boiled egg, homemade corned beef hash, and beer battered and fried. It was really tasty, but it would also take 12 minutes to fully heat through the egg.
Yeah.
So it kind of bogged down our fryers on a busy night. So it had a good run. But like, different stuff like that. Around St. Patrick's Day, we do beer battered bangers. We call it, joking around, called the Irish corn dog. And it's
Serve it with gravy.
yeah, yes sir, and mustard if you like, but generally that's serving at a house gravy. So we kind of play around with things and see how it goes. We try to draw inspiration from the season each time. Different stuff's available at different times, so try to mix some of that in. One of the benefits of Florida is that it's nice and warm most of the year. So where I grew up, where there's seasonal change up in New England, there's you can bring some elements from there down here, but you still get to bring in a fall menu, bring in a little bit of few summer ideas, have some nice winter inspirations, but you still have all the great ingredients that Florida can provide and a great growing season like down here.
What are some staple items you just can't get rid of? You say if someone took it off, they'd come burn your place.
We call them the sacred cows. We have a really great fish and chips on the menu. I'll be honest, every time I go back to New England, I wish I had our tartar sauce with me because it's killer. Our lamb burger. It's a gastric red onion, arugula and goat cheese topped lamb burger, which you grind the lamb in house. Oh, I forgot. Just one more is our chicken tenders. I had worked for a wings company at one point, and when we opened up here, I said, we're gonna make sure that our chicken tenders are quality. We're not gonna just mail it in, and that has actually been our best selling item. We do Tender Tuesday with a half off every Tuesday night. It's our busiest night of the week.
Well, being a college town, right? That's
college town and locals. We had people camping out at tables at 7:30, not ordering anything until 8 because they know that's when it starts. And it's quiet, and then in the kitchen on the line, and then all of a sudden the whole rail's full, and there's a stack for everybody with chicken tenders. It's we make our sauces from scratch, so we're that along with what we hope is cooking the tenders right and for people, then it's just a winning combination.
So you mentioned before you wish you'd taken tartar sauce with you when you go home.
Mm-hmm.
What makes your tartar sauce better than anything you have up there?
Historically, a lot of what I was aware of up there was a lot of mayonnaise, green relish, and hopes and dreams. We had our opening chef was a great guy, and he had a lot of classic culinary training and said, let me take a couple whacks of this. Ours has red onions, capers, and a whole mess of other great stuff in there, and it just helps. Food's great to begin with, but also helps it come to life a little bit more on another level.
Yeah, elevate it to
the
level.
Who doesn't love a good sauce, right?
It's true. Like the trend that they're not trying to create, but the trend that they're seeing is being able to offer operators like a +1 factor. Like, hey, I already have this sauce and this sauce. If I add them together and I make a new sauce,
fancy sauce.
Yeah. It's like, so one of them that they make is like a 7-spice mayonnaise, a Japanese 7-spice mayonnaise. And all they do is take the McCormick 7-spice seasoning and put it in the French's ketchup, Bob's your uncle, and you've got a whole nother sauce. And you could put what you made with your tartar sauce, something different that you could serve, and then say, hey, we've got this, but you're not adding anything new or different. You're just taking two different items. And that's a big trend that they've seen that is going to make it out into the market this year, because it's, labor obviously is a hard thing to come by, and trying to get someone to make your tartar sauce right every single time might not always happen.
Sometimes a sauce trend like that can take away from the base food.
Yeah.
I love wings. I worked in a wings place. We sell a ton of wings. I always get my wings untossed because I want to taste the base food. My old bosses once told me that ice cream I worked on ice cream place. I worked that served ice cream that made their own ice cream, and we went to a festival, and I'm like, I can't wait to try all the crazy flavors. He goes, no, try everybody's vanilla. You can't get the vanilla right. If it's something's overwhelming you with sauces and this kind of thing, I'm worried about
hiding the base.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or you can just mail it in. You don't even have to have a great base anymore, because now it's just covered up with stuff.
Yeah, it's funny, when I used to sell groceries, it was whenever I'd go to a new place, I had a lot of the coast over there on that side of the state, and I would go everywhere and try their shrimp, their fried shrimp. tried everybody's fried shrimp. If they couldn't do a fried shrimp well, I knew I wouldn't eat anything else in the restaurant.
Yeah. You just gotta go to your comfort zone, but also like, see what can help expand that. But at the end of the day, there's some basics, and you want to make sure that you're starting with those fundamentals, so then you can build from there.
Yeah.
Sauce for sauce sake, sure, if you want, but
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the base proteins and stuff like that. Let's start with that, and then if you come up with an amazing sauce, those well done bases will catapult that sauce into a stardom, right?
So that will get to stardom, your chicken tenders. What is that sauce that's like catapulted those? Besides being a great tender,
Sure.
what's the sauce? Because we had it last night. The sauce was phenomenal.
So we start with a cayenne base, and then we add dazzle peppers and a few other ingredients to it. And that is our hot sauce, our buffalo style hot sauce. But having Killer Ranch and Killer Blue Cheese, which are both made in-house, we've tried under different chefs' suggestions and food rep suggestions. Try it's easier to buy the crumbled blue cheese. These are by this, but it never works out the same as too many dryer agents and stuff like that.
Yeah, because when you get those crumbled, you've got all the starches.
Exactly.
So
We just buy the wheel and we hand crumble it ourselves. Yeah, it's a pain in but you know what? It makes a much better sauce, and that's the sauce we've used for 13 years. The blue cheese hasn't changed.
Yeah.
The ranch, I actually didn't even want to do ranch when I started, which I know sounds crazy. But we also want to listen to our guests, and we had so many people to say, but the blue cheese is really nice. Can we have ranch too? And we said, well, we want to make ranch. As long as we can make the ranch up to our standards that we make the other things here, then you know what? You can have what you want. And because they're the most important people in the whole place.
Yeah, because they pay your bills.
Absolutely. And as well as the blue cheese is received, we do 2-to-1 on the ranch. And you know what? We're happy to do that because it satisfies them, but also we can do it to our standards. So we try to, there's no Hidden Valley packet mix and stuff like that.
I love Hidden Valley.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with Hidden Valley, but I just don't want the exact same ranch that everybody else has.
Correct.
So, we have it. We have our standard of how we want it done, and we get people buying it in containers, deli courts and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Not only giving back to the community, right, but helped empower that next generation of culinarian or entrepreneur. I mean, you're not just a restaurateur, right? You do a lot more than that.
People, whether it's customers or other aspiring business folks, or even current or former employees, have questions. I think it's really important to spend time and energy answering those, or inspiring more questions that they might have, to be able to really kind of flesh out their ideas. We've had several people leave here from employment and go on to start their own thing, which we're very proud of, and that they've worked so hard and done such a great job with. I always try to say that we offer opportunity, and it's whatever you make of it. We'll give you the platform, but it's the rocket fuel's on you. And while it may just be a pint of beer or a glass of whiskey or a fish and chips, it can lead to more than that, and you never know what moment's going to change your life and for the better. And we try to be as part of as many of those as possible for people. And that's what kind of lends a richness and it makes this worth doing. It's great to be in business. It's great to have people in their living, working here through this place. But at the end of the day, it has to be about the people, or you're not going to be here for very long.
Chef James Greaves is the Chief Culinary Officer of Pizzalley, a restaurant group operating at 4 prominent establishments here in St. Augustine, Florida: Prohibition Kitchen, the Roosevelt Room, Chianti Room, and Pizzalley. Next, we step back in time at the Roosevelt Room, one of the Pizzalley Group's speakeasy-style restaurants. Chef James, what's up,
What's
man?
going on there?
Yeah, nice to see you. Thank you for having us. So you've been here in St. Augustine for 14 years. Could you tell us a little bit more about your background, your culinary upbringing, and just your overall philosophy on food?
I went to Flagler College, which is here in town. I didn't pay much attention to school, and I ended up dropping out and looked for a job, got a job as a dishwasher, kind of fell in love with the industry, and from there moved on to culinary school up in Jacksonville and just made this my life and career. We lean into the gastropub style of a speakeasy, I would say, where we really focus on kind of taking traditional dishes and putting our own spins on them. So, most things in the world have been done already.
Yeah.
So what are we going to find that's new? Not so much of that, but how can we take things that are already great classics and kind of put our own stamp on them?
Yeah.
And build from there.
And what St. Augustine-based ingredients do you bring into your menu? Because a lot of people say
The classic dazzle pepper.
that's the big one, right?
That's the big one. We use an awesome honey from a bartender who actually used to work for us. She started her own honey business, Bee Hill Farms. So that's fantastic. Local microgreens we use and other lettuces.
What benefits do you see from buying those specific items locally, in terms of longevity, shelf life?
Well, the difference when you start buying it locally is how long it lasts on our shelves too. Like the shelf life I get out of microgreens he clips them and then brings them to us. So it's awesome.
Yeah, because you're almost 100% scratch kitchen, right? In all locations. You source the best burger patty possible.
Absolutely. From Benny Keith.
Why is the dazzle pepper such a staple in the cuisine here? Because it's everywhere, right?
Well, the dazzle pepper grows in only 2 places, right? St. Augustine being one of them, the other one being the Isle of Menorca off the coast of Spain. And it was brought here by the Menorcans originally. So it's been kind of baked into the culture of St. Augustine, and it finds itself. And, Menorcan chowder is one of the things that we're known for, that it's used most readily in. And then we just kind of find different ways to branch it into our menus and just really feed off that rich history that it has. We're in our 2nd generation of ownership through them. So the Tom and Carol Sheltra started Pizzalley's as, a 900 square foot restaurant on St. George Street, and have built it into 4 different restaurants. Yeah.
And the nice thing is they're all connected.
Right.
So you, as being the chief culinary officer,
Nailed it.
don't have to wander too far to go to wherever you need to go.
No. All my problems are centrally located.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So when you want to get away from your problems, you just move across the street. Don't worry about it.
To the tavern.
I gotta go to the distillery, guys. Check out what's going on over there.
Our most popular dishes between all 3 of our restaurant concepts are really the build your own options. We have in Roosevelt Room, we have a build your own breakfast item. We call it the this or that. You can order this or you can order that. And Prohibition, it's our burger. The build your own burger is our #1 seller because people love having their options. And then when you go into Chianti Room, it's the same thing. We call it our possibilities. So, but and that would be our #1 seller over there.
How do you, train or develop that future culinarian? When they come through your doors, obviously you started from ground zero,
Right?
And you worked your way up. So, how do you train those that also want to do the same thing? How are you helping those others succeed?
Yeah, I think the world has changed a lot in the past couple of years, and especially the younger staff. So when we see those guys who come in who are passionate, who do want to work, who do want to learn, we invest a lot of time in that. Whether it's myself or the other chefs that work for me, we have a large collection of, pretty much any book of any interest you could have.
I'm sure the chefs have a good varied background because they're not all from St.
Oh yeah, well we have we have 220 employees that we have here. So
20.
So yeah, so we have varying degrees of knowledge and skill sets. So I think we're lucky in the sense that we have so many great chefs that work for us that we pull from each other. And, you know, we sit down, we look at the trends that are going on, and then determine whether we want to act on those trends or in what way we want to incorporate them into our various concepts. In our busier seasons, we'll get all the way up to 250-ish. So I think we're the second largest employer outside of Northrop Grumman at the airport. And that is a huge way that we help support the community. You know, we try and we pay higher wages. We try and make sure that everybody's comfortable and just really take care of our staff in that way. We have a huge culture of just kind of bringing everybody together.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of like local events and things like that, trying to like really bring the community together? Are you guys big supporters in that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do the chowder debates every year. We do the Florida Man games, things like that. So we're involved in as many events as are really possible.
Assuming, yeah, because when you start doing too many events, are you actually working on the restaurant?
Yeah, that's not fun anymore either, right? So those are great ways for our chefs and our staff to kind of step out of their day-to-day jobs and experience something fun.
St. Augustine's rich history and vibrant food scene make it one of Florida's most unique destinations. We dropped by Bar Republic where we tasted their hearty dishes and listened to Red's heartfelt message, and spoke with Chef James in the charming Roaring Twenties styled Roosevelt Room. This old city only seems to be getting better with age. We hope you enjoy exploring these fantastic eateries with us and learned a bit about the people that own and operate them. When the voyage is coming to an end, when the movie is over, what's left to do? Oh, yeah, wrap things up. I think we've learned something here today in this historic city. Community truly means something and is a foundation for longevity, regardless of the topic. Sauces are only sauces, although we can make a fancy sauce. Perhaps what's best is to start with a base as strong as the history of the city.